can do all things through Christ who strengthens us, except restrain from sexual sin. People always say, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, but I can't seem to stay out of a bed with another unmarried man, or with another unmarried person, or with a married person now.
Come on, talk about it. Come on now.
So first we see here it is better to marry than to burn. And we look at that, like I said, we try to loosen our boundaries so that we can now jump into a relationship. Another thing that we understand, when we think of burning, we usually think of a fire. And a fire wants to get around other coals so it can stay lit. So it can continue to feed and it can continue to burn. The problem that we have is that if we continue to surround ourselves as singles, if you continue to surround yourselves around a burning desire and the burning passion for sexual intimacy, then you are keeping a fire alive that you don't want to stay alive. I know that you hear people, they say, well, you know, I'm afraid because if I don't have this intimacy when I get married, I may not feel like I want to have sex. That's a lie from the pit of hell. Because when you get married, trust me, you will have the inclination. You will have the inclination. But refraining from it does not make you less of a woman. It doesn't make you less of a person. It says that the woman who is unmarried and the virgin is concerned about things of the Lord, that she may be holy in both body and spirit. To be holy comes from a word which means to be cut away. That means you are cut away in body and in spirit. You are cut away, that you are not married to the prostitute. You are not engaged in a relationship with the prostitute. You're not engaged in a relationship with a person that you are not supposed to be in. That you are of one mind, of one mission, of one statement with the Lord. That you have an undistracted devotion. Think about all the things that you can do now that you are single. Because you are undistracted. You don't have the cares of the world. See, when I was single, I was undistracted. I didn't have the cares of the world. Now that I'm married, I have to be concerned about my wife as well. And now that we have a son, I have to be concerned about my son. Because now I have distractions. I have a distraction. It's a righteous distraction, but it's still a distraction nevertheless. I just can't up and say, I'm going to go to Ethiopia because I want to. No, I got to sit down, I got to talk to my wife about it. When I was in Ethiopia, my wife and I, we were married in our first year. And I was over there in Ethiopia, and I thought, as I sat over there in that guest house, I said to myself, if I wasn't married, I would live here. I wouldn't go back home. But I was married. And it was already enough to get Heather to move from Georgia to Mississippi. I knew she wasn't going to move to Ethiopia. I love my wife, but my wife was not going to Ethiopia. And there was a block in the devotion that I had to the Lord. It was restrained. But when you are single, you are without restraint. Without restraint. You have time to be totally devoted to the Lord. Now here's the question. If you got time to be totally devoted to Him right now, and you're not, then where are you spending your time?
Come on. Preach.
Where are you spending your time? See, the statement no randoms is not just something pretty to wear on a t-shirt. It's actually saying, and it's actually giving evidence to where you spend your time. Because if it's with any and everybody, then you're giving undevoted attention to somebody. It's just not God. Well, Cornelius, you don't understand my job. You don't understand I got this going on. You understand my school. You don't understand all these other kind of things. No, what I understand is that you give undevoted attention to somebody. It's just not God. It's not the Lord. Better to marry than to burn. That is more of a warning. Again, that is not an excuse to get married, but more of a warning that we should have more self-control, more discipline. More discipline. And I know that is that's a curse word in the church nowadays. Discipline is a curse word. Sacrifice is a curse word. Obedience, brokenness, those are curse words in the church. Don't tell me that. Tell me I'm going to be blessed tomorrow. Tell me some good news, because those are the good things we want to hear. But just like in the Old Testament, when these men went around, they went around saying, oh, God's okay with it, and God's going to do this, and everything is fine, and God's happy with this. And the prophet would say, no, that's not what God's saying. His anger has been kindled against us. We want to hear something that is going to satisfy the soul, when in actuality, Christ calls us to discipline. That's what it means to be a disciple. I am a disciplined one. I am disciplined. I have self-control. It is so important to be self-controlled that, guess what? It's a fruit of the Spirit.
That's good.
So if you didn't need to have it, I'm quite sure He would not grow it within you. Next thing we see, where it says that we need to be concerned about the things of the Lord. That means we have no divided interest. No divided interest. It would be good for some of you when you leave from here to actually get out a piece of paper and write down where you spend your time. And then go through that list and say, okay, that's a time waster. That's a time waster. That's a time waster. I don't know why I've been talking to him so much. That's a time waster.
Talk about it.
That's a time waster. Yep, wasting my time right there too. Oh, I've been wasting my time for 7 years with this fool. Undevoted attention. But you don't understand. I'm bored. Well, get you a puppy. But you don't understand. You know, I feel lonely. Well, if you finally get into full undevoted attention to the Lord, He's going to give you something to do. You're single. You like to bake cookies. Bake some cookies for somebody and take them to them. And when you take them, share the gospel with them. You like to do this. Who knows what some of you like to do, what kind of gifts and talents. You maybe like to sing. Go to an elderly home. Go around some widows and just bellow out and sing the glory of the Lord. They love to have your company. You have an undevoted attention to the Lord. Who's going to tell you can't go? Your husband? You don't have one. Well, my boyfriend don't want me to go. Well, until he puts a ring on your finger, he doesn't have any authority trying to tell you what to do. But we're in a committed relationship. If it was so committed, he would be committed. It's a lie from the pit of hell when a man tells you, I'm not ready for marriage now. What he's saying is I'm going to wait and I'm going to find somebody better because I'm not really interested in you. You don't have my undivided attention because when something better comes along, I'll take that. But he's been with me for 9 years. I feel like he wants me. No, he don't want you. He wants what you can give to him.
That's right.
And then once he gets finished using you, he'll find somebody else on the list.
Talk about it. That's right.
You have no divided interest. The question I usually get is, Cornelius, should I be seeking somebody? Because you know the Bible is always talking about us seeking, and you know we seek and we seek. So should I be seeking a spouse? Where should I be looking for a man? Where should I be looking for a spouse? And the answer to that question is yes, you should be seeking someone. You should be seeking the Lord. The Lord. The Lord. You should be seeking the Lord. And that's scary for us. Because two things. If we truly seek Him, then He's going to require some type of change in us. And change is uncomfortable. And the other reason why that is so scary is because if we truly sought Him, then that means that takes away your sufficiency. It takes away your power. Because it's no longer you going after somebody else in your own strength. That means you have to be fully reliant on Him to truly satisfy and to fulfill His will in your life. And that's scary. Because what if He doesn't do it? what if I be single all my life? Well, then you keep yourself from a lot of worry. You keep yourself from a lot of worry.